Ladies and gentlemen, for tonight's entertainment, I am proud to present West Side Story. I will be playing all the parts. Thank you.
So, you're here to pitch a new movie to Disney Channel? To Disney Plus, actually. Similar to Descendants: The Rise of Red and Zombies 3, I'm hoping for a Disney Plus premiere, followed by a premiere on Disney Channel later on down the line. I see. Tell me about it. No problem. So, Wicked is coming out this November, and it's the epic tale about the friendship between a blonde girl and a black girl. I wanted to do something a little different, starring myself and Preston Oliver, and that's why I'm here today to talk to you about Protect the Princess. Isn't Preston Oliver brunette? Go die! That's quite mean. No, I mean, Ariana Grande is also brunette, but have you seen her in promotional media for Wicked Part 1? She dyed her hair for the role. You think Preston Oliver can pull off platinum blonde? I was thinking more dirty blonde like Ryan Gosling in The Fall Guy, but I'm not a hair and makeup designer. Anyway, Protect the Princess is based on the 2009 DCOM Princess Protection Program, as well as Zendaya's show, Casey Undercover. Both of these projects include spy agencies, so I wrote this movie to be 50% teen rom-com, 50% spy action movie. Like Debs? The lesbian spy movie starring Megan Good? Not really. Remember I cited Wicked as an influence? More than anything, more than the actual princess they're protecting, I want the main focus of the story to be on the two main characters, Eli and Wyatt's friendship. They used to be best friends up until a fight in the 10th grade, then they stopped speaking to each other and joined two different agencies. But throughout the movie, they're going to be forced to work together, and we're going to see them reconnect as friends. That sounds cool. So, what's the logline? Thank you for asking. Due to backlash from the international community questioning the ethics of an American agency having connections with multiple royal families, the Princess Protection Program shut down a few years ago. This means that when Ivorian Princess Karidja Ndofo arrives in town, former best friends / teen spies Elijah Daniels and Wyatt Stevens are forced to work together to protect her. Ivorian? What does that mean? Wasn't Demi's character in the original Latina from a made-up South American country? Also, you said arrives in town, so where's this movie set? Thank you for asking. First of all, Ivorian people come from the Ivory Coast. I used to follow a lot of 2000s Disney nostalgia pages on Instagram, and it seems that the only scene people seem to remember from PPP is the scene where Demi's supposed to be blending in high school, and then she walks into a French class and starts speaking fluent French. So, I then discovered that certain African countries were colonized by France, so I started looking for a French-speaking African country with a monarchy that the princess could originate from. This led me to discovering the Kingdom of Saint-Louis in the Ivory Coast, which is established as Karidja's home in the movie. Regarding the setting of the movie, Eli, Wyatt, and Eli's love interest Mary live in the fictional town of Coastal City, with the former two being students at Coastal City High. I'm on the fence about where Coastal City is, because when I originally wrote my pitch, I wrote it to be a stand-in for San Francisco and to be in California. Then I spoke to a friend of mine and she thought setting it in the state of New York would be better. I'll let you decide which one you prefer, but I figure if we go the California route, we can film somewhere on location in the Golden State, and then if we go the New York route, Rise of Red filmed in Atlanta, and Atlanta's often used to represent New York in MCU movies, so yeah, we have options. So we need to address colonialism. Hire a dialect coach for whichever actress plays Karidja. Hire stunt choreographers and performers for fight scenes. And invest in high quality special effects for explosions. Sounds like a lot for a kid's movie. Then it's a good thing this isn't a kid's movie. What? Similar to how Prom Pact was your standard teen movie with underage drinking, swearing, and sexual innuendos, and it just happened to be produced by Disney-branded television, I have a teenage and young adult audience in mind for Protect the Princess. It's basically a teen action movie, and I'm hoping we can get a PG-13 rating. Like, you know how in a Marvel movie, whenever characters sustain damage in a fight, they'll, get a few cuts, bleed a little, and have some sweat glistening on their face? Same WhatsApp group. Speaking of Marvel movies, I read somewhere that the reason Star-Lord was able to drop an F-bomb in Guardians 3 is because you're allowed one F-bomb in a PG-13 movie. I hope this isn't pushing it too far, but I wrote a scene in this movie where my character tells his friend to F off and holds up the middle finger. So what do we think about that? Your character? Yes, sir. The main characters in the movie are Eli, Wyatt, Kari, and Mary, as well as Eli's aunt and Wyatt's uncle. To play Eli, I wanted to propose myself for the role. You wrote a movie with yourself in mind to play the lead role? We're still going to need to hire casting directors for additional roles, so you might still need to audition. We? Like, you're going to greenlight my movie? I like the sound of that. I need to hear more before I can greenlight anything. No problem. So I, Malachi, would like to play the role of Elijah Eli Daniels. Eli is a high school senior at Coastal City High and a teen spy at the organization, which is the spy agency from Casey Undercover. His aunt on his dad's side is Yacouba, played by Tammy Townsend, who's the new head of the organization ever since Beverly quit to go host a talk show. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Eli got recruited when he was 15, in part due to his exceptional archery skills, but also due to him always knowing that his aunt was a spy, because she used to take him with on missions when she babysat him as a child. She brought a child with her on missions? She recruited her 15-year-old daughter as a spy in the first episode of the show she's from. Plus, I don't remember anyone getting upset when Jessica Drew rode around town fighting crime while pregnant in Across the Spider-Verse. Also, speaking of Across the Spider-Verse, can production make me a Miles Morales onesie? I've written a scene in the movie where my character is wearing one, and I'm hoping I can take it home after we wrap filming. Everyone complained about Jessica being in the field while pregnant, and we can discuss your onesie when we're done talking about the movie. For now, tell me more about Eli. No problem. So he and Wyatt are going to reveal their university plans at the end of the movie, but Eli's already decided he wants to be a full-time spy when he's older. Since he's already got his future job secured, he's going to university to study theology to grow in his faith. Also, I wanted Eli and Wyatt's weapons to serve as extensions of their different personalities. In Eli's case, his weapon is meant to show his ambivert nature. He's closed off and awkward with people he doesn't know, and as a result, he comes off as mean and standoffish to strangers. He's also not super comfortable with physical touch because he really likes his personal space. Like Gregory from Abbott Elementary? Exactly, like Gregory from Abbott Elementary. So to reflect Eli's nature, his weapon of choice is a long-range weapon. Artemis was one of my favorite characters when I watched Young Justice as a kid, so I want Eli to be an archer with a black compound bow. His quiver contains a lot of trick arrows like grappling hook arrows, explosive arrows, and EMP arrows. He mostly fires blunt arrows, but when he does shoot sharp arrows, it's mostly as a warning shot. Similar to the onesie, I'm hoping production either makes or buys Eli's bow, and I can take it home after we wrap filming. You know if we go the archer route, you can't use real arrows on set, right? What? Yeah, go look up behind-the-scenes content from Arrow. They had Stephen Amell draw an empty bow, and the arrows would be added in post-production using CGI. Using live weapons on a movie set is a high risk, and it's also an insurance liability. Will production at least pay for me to go to archery classes? Oh my god, do you want production to pay for you to breathe oxygen? Just tell me about the movie. Like, what happened that caused Eli and Wyatt's breakup? To answer that, I need to tell you about the movie's deuteragonist first. I have Preston Oliver in mind to play Wyatt Stevens. To answer your question, production will pay for his dye job. We'll probably have his on-set hairstylist dye his hair right before we start filming. Thank you for letting me know. Anyway, similar to his ex-best friend, Wyatt Stevens is an 18-year-old senior at Coastal City High. He's part of a new spy organization introduced in this movie, and similar to Eli, he got hired due to him being a Nepo baby. His maternal uncle is Joe Mason from the Princess Protection Program, and while that does technically make him cousins with Selena Gomez— Hold up! What do you mean, new spy organization? Joe worked for the Princess Protection Program in Princess Protection Program. That's true, but like I said in the logline, in this movie, the PPP had to disband due to a bunch of political issues. Besides, Molly Hagan's character said that they were funded by the royal families in their network, so it just needs like 3 issues between 3 royal families for it to disband. Either way, Wyatt's maternal uncle is Joe Mason from PPP. And fun fact, the actor who played Joe in PPP is Tom Verica, who is also an executive producer and director. He served as an EP on all 3 seasons of Bridgerton. He's also directed a few episodes of Bridgerton, as well as Queen Charlotte, The Umbrella Academy, and Scandal. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but if he's willing to come back to reprise his role, I would also be interested in asking him to direct the movie. I like that. He's qualified for the job, so we just need to reach out to him and check his availability. Aren't they set to start filming Bridgerton's 4th season next year, though? And by the way, when do you want Protect the Princess to come out? Thank you for asking. I don't know about Bridgerton season 4, but I do know that the original Princess Protection Program came out on the 26th of June, 2009. I should be done with my degree at the end of 2025, so I think it would be really cool for PTP to come out on the 26th of June, 2026. I've checked, and that is a Friday. I like it. That means we can film from February to April and still maintain our release date. Tell me more about Wyatt, though. Like, why did he and Eli fall out? No problem. So, Wyatt got recruited to a spy agency when he was 14, mostly due to his exceptional martial arts skills and him finding out his uncle was a spy when he was 11. Between him and Eli, Wyatt's a lot more outgoing and sociable, and he's more comfortable with people being physically close to him, which is reflected in his weapon because he uses short-range weapons. Did you watch Legends of Tomorrow on the CW? Dude, of course I did. Those Arrowverse shows used to slap! Well, similar to Sarah Lawrence, Wyatt's weapon of choice is a pair of black batons that combine into a bow staff. They also have tasers built into them. Outside of his life as a spy, Wyatt also loves video games, and after high school he wants to go study computer science at an Ivy League university so he can become a part-time game developer when he's older. Also, when Eli and Wyatt were in middle school, they would always go to their favorite fast food restaurant and order the BCP combo and go play video games at Wyatt's house. The BCP combo is just a bacon, cheese, and patty burger with large fries and chocolate milk. You're not answering my question though. What led to their fallout? My bad. So this works better if the movie is set in California, but at the end of Casey Undercover, Casey went to university at Stanford, which is located in California. In this movie, we're going to say that she stayed in California for a few years after finishing her degree because the organization doesn't have many spies in the state. Anyway, when the two boys were in grade 10, Wyatt's mom passed away. He wrote a speech that he was going to deliver at her funeral, and he made Eli promise to be there with him to support him when he spoke. Eli had to miss the funeral to rescue Casey from kidnappers though, and as a result, Wyatt didn't deliver the speech at his mom's funeral. Eli couldn't tell Wyatt why he wasn't there because they don't find out about each other's identities as spies till the beginning of this movie, so they fought, and as a result, they haven't spoken since then. That's quite interesting. How many characters do I need to hear about before you can tell me the movie's plot? Just two, Kari and Mary. To play the titular princess, I have Dara Reneé in mind to play Princess Karidja of the Kingdom of Sanwi. Courtney from High School Musical? Yep. Karidja, or Kari for short, is fluent in English, Ivorian French, and her native Anyan. Like you mentioned, I want the actress playing her to work with a dialect coach to work on her Ivorian accent, the same way I'm gonna have to work with a dialect coach to work on my American accent. Kari's whole thing is that she's the perfect princess and she has an undying loyalty to her people. Her dad was supposed to fly to Coastal City to meet with people from the US Trade Representative to negotiate a trade deal between the US and Cote d'Ivoire, but due to a recent surgery, he's on bed rest for the next month. Rather than allowing the negotiations to get postponed, Kari insisted on coming in his place because of how much the deal could benefit her people. Both boys fall in love with her, and that leads to some friction because she's clearly more interested in Wyatt. You did say this was a teen rom-com. But wait, so her dad let his teen daughter fly all the way to the States alone? Nope. Kari's going to be protected by Eli and Wyatt during her time in Coastal City, but she was also sent with her father's advisor Yacouba, played by Winston Duke. What's up with him? He's the movie's antagonist. He's written to resemble X-Men 97's version of Magneto, so he isn't necessarily evil, but he's willing to go to extreme measures for the good of his people. Ooh, how bad is he? Does he put light bulbs in the recycling bin? He tries to blow Eli and Wyatt's school up in the third act. Oh. Okay. Anyway, the last character you need to know about is Mary Gonzalez. Are you imagining the comics version of America Chavez? I am. I know I want her to be a Latina of Puerto Rican ancestry, but I don't have an actress in mind to play her. Anyway, she's basically the girl version of Alex Alvarez from One Day at a Time. So she's very playful and she's always got a sly smile on her face. And the main thing you need to know about Mary is that she loves planes because she idolizes her abuelo, who used to be a pilot before he retired and moved to his farm in San Juan. Mary also plays the same role that Ed played in the original PPP, meaning that she's down bad for Eli throughout the movie, but he's oblivious because he's crushing on Kari. The two of them are going to get together at the end though, when Kari crowns them prom king and queen. I also want to flip around the trope of fathers disapproving of their daughters' boyfriends, so a big joke with Mary is that Eli's dad hates her. Cool. Give me the plot. No problem. The movie starts with Mary sitting alone at a fancy restaurant. Eli runs in late, having been on a mission before getting there, and they enjoy their date a little bit before Eli rushes to the bathroom to pick up his spy handler's call on his hologram watch. I'm guessing that's an obscure reference to Casey using her watch for the first time in a bathroom in the Casey Undercover pilot. Yep. Eli is given his mission, so he puts on his spy suit and prepares to leave the restaurant through the bathroom window, but Mary comes in to try to talk to him. She sees him in his spy suit, so he's forced to spray her with the Casey Undercover memory spray before slipping out. His mission is to protect stolen paintings from thieves who want to burn the art and livestream the destruction. Eli stops them and waits for backup because, like I said, the organization doesn't have many agents in Coastal City. Once the backup arrives, he rushes home as he has school the next day, and the next scene is Wyatt waking up and getting ready for school. He cycles to school, and we see him and Eli walk in silence to chain their bikes at the bike rack, as there are only 2 spots left next to each other. So they don't talk to each other at all? Not unless they have to. I want to show a montage of them avoiding each other at school until they get to French class. They were the last 2 to get to class, so they're forced to pair up and discuss their university plans in French. Is that scene really necessary? Well, it establishes to the audience that Wyatt is a better French speaker than Eli, which is part of the reason Kari initially takes more of a liking to him when she meets the 2 of them. Right. Next is the inciting action. After school, Wyatt and Eli are both sent coordinates by their spy handlers of a warehouse that they've been summoned to. The warehouse is a base of Wyatt's spy agency, so he gets there first, and when Eli arrives, he sees Wyatt's bike and he's suspicious. Then he enters the base. He and Wyatt mistake each other for rogue agents and fight for a little bit before they're separated by their handlers. Kira and Joe then arrive, blow each boy's cover, and call them into a boardroom where they're debriefed on their mission of protecting Kari for the next 2 weeks while she's in town. I'm guessing they both jump up and down at being told they have to spend time with a pretty girl. Not really, they both object at the thought of being forced to work together before they're reminded that they took oaths to protect and serve, and this is an order. So they reluctantly accept, and then they head outside to meet Kari as she arrives in a helicopter. She took a helicopter from West Africa to the west coast of America? No, a helicopter can't even get you from Maritzburg to Cape Town. She was brought in a private jet from Soetkomoe to Coastal City Airport, and from the airport she's been brought to the spy base in the helicopter for debriefing. Oh. This is where Kari, Yacouba, and one of her pilots get out of the helicopter. As she walks up to greet the boys, they're both immediately enamored with her, and they both rush up to speak to her. One of her pilots? How many pilots does your helicopter have? 2. While they're talking to Kari, the second pilot is still inside the helicopter, checking the flight log, measuring the instruments, and when she gets out the copter, it's revealed to be Mary. Eli's date from earlier? Yep. Remember I said she loves planes? She works for the same agency as Wyatt, except she's a pilot, not an agent. I did some basic research, and in America you can get your private pilot's license at 17, but you still need to complete a certain amount of hours before you can fly solo. So she's bummed that she always needs to be supervised on flights, and it's a source of angst for her. I like it. So we've established the characters, their objectives, and set the plot into motion. What's next? Then the middle section of the movie happens. It's the two boys reconnecting as friends while working together to protect Kari. So Eli just tossed Mary to the side like old socks. Remember I said she'll be pining after him the whole movie and he'll be none the wiser? Because she forgot about their date, he decides to try pursue Kari while she's in town, but he and Mary do establish a friendship. Also, before they went on their first date, Eli mentioned that he wasn't doing too hot at maths, so Mary offered to tutor him as a way to spend time with him. At the back of the spy base on this scene is a hangar where Mary's been working on restoring and modifying an old F111 Aardvark fighter jet. So whenever they have their tutoring scenes, they'll be on the hangar, working on her jet and working on Eli's maths problems. Okay, I get that she loves planes, but isn't it overkill to have all of her scenes take place in a hangar? Nope. As a film critic would say, she's working on the MacGuffin to end all MacGuffins. How does her jet fit in as a MacGuffin to the plot? There's a scene near the end of the movie that sets up the climax. Earlier in the day before this scene, Kari and Wyatt were chilling in his room, and she found the speech that he wrote for his mom's funeral. She asked him to read the speech to her, as he never got to say it to his mom, and he delivers the speech before tears start to run down his face. They're both emotional, and they're about to kiss, but then Mary walks in on them, because she's got to take Kari back to her hotel in a helicopter. I'm guessing Mary's gonna tell Eli? Nope, but it's going to be the point in the movie where Mary realizes her worth and tells Eli that she wants to be more than friends, and if he isn't interested, he can just delete her number. Go, Mary! Amen to that. Anyway, Eli's sitting home alone in his Miles Morales onesie when Wyatt comes over with 2 BCP combos in a takeout bag and his gaming console in his backpack. After a year, he's finally finished his first video game, which is a capture the flag game designed to resemble an 80s arcade game, and he came so they could play it together. So this teenager made a whole video game by himself in 1 year. Yep, and as a result, the game's gonna keep crashing and glitching until it reaches a point where it just shuts down and won't turn back on. After that, Wyatt's gonna get up to go to the bathroom, but he's gonna leave his phone in the living room. Let me guess, Kari's gonna send a text and Eli's gonna read it? Sort of. Kari sends a text, but then Wyatt unlocks his phone for the two of them to read the message. Her negotiations are taking place over 2 days, but after the first day of negotiations, her confidence has been wrecked, so she's going back home to the Ivory Coast in a private jet that night. The jet is supposedly coming to Coastal City with a bunch of Ivorian diplomats on board who are going to continue negotiating in her place, and she's especially bummed that it's Friday and prom's the following day, so she won't be able to go to prom with them. I'm guessing you wrote that because the third act of PPP takes place at their homecoming dance? Correct. Where the drama comes from is Eli reading directly above those messages and seeing that Wyatt and Kari almost kissed. He calls Wyatt out for trying to take his girl, and Wyatt says it's unfair that Eli can't choose between Kari and Mary and everyone has to suffer because of it. They then argue a bit, which results in Wyatt leaving to go to the airport to bid Kari farewell, and as he storms out, Eli tells him to F off whilst holding up his middle finger. So yeah, I hope that scene is allowed. The drama. What happens next? Eli walks back inside and sees that Wyatt left his console. So he plays a game they used to play all the time when they were in middle school before falling asleep on the couch. The next morning he's woken up by his ringtone as Wyatt's calling him, but when he picks up the phone, it's Yacouba on the other side. Kari's morally grey evil advisor. Yep. Yacouba tells Eli to put him on speaker and proceeds to send him a picture of Wyatt in a dungeon in the Ivory Coast. The plane that flew to Coastal City the previous night was actually holding a bunch of soldiers loyal to Yacouba who were planning to wreak havoc on the city if trade negotiations went wrong the following day. The diplomats were a lie by Yacouba as a way to trick Kari into authorizing a plane to fly to Coastal City, and then he was able to change her mind again and convince her to give negotiations another try. Wyatt was just the cherry on top, and he was sent back on the plane to be held as a prisoner in the Sanwi Palace's dungeon. Is Wyatt gonna be okay? Maybe. Yacouba promises that Wyatt won't be harmed and that it's just an insurance policy. If negotiations go well that day, Wyatt will be released and brought back home, but if negotiations go south, Wyatt will officially become a hostage and be held for a $5 million ransom, which Yacouba knows that Joe can organize. Eli asks if Kari knows, and Yacouba says that if Eli tells her, he'll have Wyatt killed that same night. Then Eli asks why Yacouba's doing this, and he gives a speech saying that not every black boy is as privileged as Eli, and the money from the trade agreement would benefit the lives of the citizens of the Ivory Coast. Then he abruptly hangs up on Eli. Can Eli just call Joe or Kira to help him save Wyatt? His first instinct is to get them on a three-way call to ask for help, but they both say they can't do anything. Wyatt isn't an organization agent, so Kira can't help, and Joe needs to call a crisis management meeting to figure out how to help Wyatt. But at their agency, when agents need to be rescued from foreign territories, there's a lot of red tape that can hold up the process for at least a week. So what does Eli do? Being a teenager and wanting immediate action, he hangs up on the both of them, saying he'll figure something out. He then calls someone, saying he needs help, and the next scene is him and Mary in the sky. What? You remember Mary was working on her F111? She owns that jet, so she was able to take it out to help Eli. So they're gonna take a jet from California to Sud-Gomoy? No, because those locations are 12,115 kilometers apart. Remember Mary's jet is modified? A normal F111 can fly 5,940 kilometers on a full tank, so we'll just say Mary's can fly 7,000 kilometers because of her upgrades. The distance from San Francisco to San Juan is 5,830 kilometers, so they're going to fly to her abuelo's farm in Puerto Rico for a fuel stop before flying another 6,953 kilometers to Sud-Gomoy. Okay. How long is that going to take? Well, the F111's top speed is 2,655 kilometers an hour, and San Francisco is 12,115 kilometers away from San Juan. So if they fly an average speed of 2,500 kilometers an hour, and they spend 30 minutes at Abuelo's place, it should be about 5.5 hours there, 5.5 hours back. Okay, so Eli's going to rescue Wyatt when they get to the Ivory Coast. Yep. You remember Black Widow's scene breaking into Hammer Industries in Iron Man 2? Eli's going to do the same thing and take down a corridor of guards whilst quipping about it to Mary over their communication earpieces. She's going to be on the jet giving him directions based on blueprints she's obtained. Then they rescue Wyatt, as well as interrogating the guard who was guarding Wyatt's cell. He tells the boys that Yacouba planted a bomb in their school and he plans to detonate it that night at prom, so they get in the jet and rush back to Coastal City. Isn't the F111 a two-seater jet? Mary's is a three-seater. Remember, she's technically not supposed to be flying without a senior pilot on board. She installed a third seat in case she ever wanted to take Eli on a romantic flight, but before she was allowed to fly solo. Wow, she is down bad. Yes, she is. On the pit stop back, Eli and Wyatt have a heart-to-heart whilst Eli's wrapping his friend's wrists with bandages because they're red from the tight shackles used on him. They make a pact to be friends and not let secrets or girls get between them again. Also, before they get back on the jet, Wyatt tells Eli to make things right with Mary before it's too late, because she's clearly head over heels for him. I mean, duh, she flew all the way to Africa just because he called and said please. Are they going to have a final showdown at the school? Yes, they are. From Abuelo's farm, they're going to fly back to the spy base. There, Wyatt's going to grab his spy suit and batons, and they're going to grab 2 bomb detectors before heading to the school in a helicopter, where they'll land on the roof of the gym. The plan is to locate the bomb and confirm its existence before calling for backup. But at this point, Eli and Wyatt are in their spy suits, and Mary's wearing whatever clothes she threw on when Eli called her that morning. Aren't they going to stand out at prom? Nope. Wyatt's dad has been looking for hobbies to get into for when his son goes to university and he's all home alone, and as a result, he started sewing classes a few months ago. Now, it's his thing. He's so good at sewing that he can just walk around you and correctly guess your measurements. So when Eli and Wyatt started hanging out again in this movie, he decided to make the 2 of them tuxedos for prom. The tuxes are currently in Wyatt's locker, so the 2 of them are going to sneak into the school through the air vents, grab the tuxes, and go put them on top of their spy suits. Then what? They walk into the gym where prom is taking place, and Eli goes to try expose Yacouba to Kari, while Wyatt walks around the gym with his bomb detector. She's there because her second day of negotiations got pushed back to Monday, and she really wanted to attend a prom, so the school invited her as a special guest to crown the prom king and queen. Initially, Kari isn't convinced by Eli, so he calls Wyatt's phone, which rings in Yacouba's pocket, and he shows her the pic of Wyatt in the cell. As Yacouba's about to speak, Wyatt runs up to Eli and shows him the bomb, which Yacouba installed under the bleachers. The two boys' first thought is the realization that they'll need to call bomb experts to help dismantle a bomb that big, but they then realize that if the bomb's that big, Yacouba had to have started working on the bomb the moment he arrived in Coastal City because of how intricately it's built into the scaffolding. They tell Yacouba to give them the detonator, but instead he whips it out and presses the button, setting off the bomb's 10-minute timer. How do the other kids react? They all run out of the gym, allowing Eli and Wyatt to reveal their spy suits and weapons and to start fighting the soldiers that Yacouba brought to Coastal City the previous night. That shouldn't be an issue. Didn't Eli take down a hallway full of guards a few hours ago? No, because he took down 4 security guards one by one as he approached them on a long corridor. This is different because he and Wyatt are battling highly trained soldiers who are trying to kill them, whereas the security guards were merely trying to subdue Eli. How many soldiers are there? I'm stuck between 7 and 9 because I want this to be the standout fight scene in the movie, so it's got to be like a huge spectacle. So either 7 or 9, but it just has to be an odd number. Anyway, during the fight, Yacouba grabs Kari and takes her to another rooftop of the school where his helicopter is waiting to take the two of them away. After defeating the soldiers, the two boys reach them as Yacouba is about to board the helicopter, and Eli, aiming an arrow at his head, tells Yacouba to turn around and deactivate the bomb. Instead, Yacouba takes a step to the side and reveals Mary tied up by a soldier who's holding a knife to her throat. What? Remember I said they fought an odd number of soldiers? A helicopter is quite loud, so when the teens landed on the roof of the gym, Yacouba sent one of the soldiers to go check it out, and he abducted Mary off screen. And what's Kari doing while all this is happening? She's trying to calm everyone down. She's asking Eli to put his bow down and Yacouba to deactivate the bomb, but no one's listening to her. Wyatt walks up to her and asks how she could let this happen before grabbing her and pulling her out the way so Eli can make the shot, pinning the soldier's sleeve to the copter's door and allowing Mary to escape. Then, with 2 minutes left on the bomb timer, the two of them have a final boss battle against Yacouba, and they finally defeat him when the bomb timer has 5 seconds left on the clock. They then deactivate the bomb and the threat is neutralized. So that's it. Basically, their backup finally arrives, so they hand Yacouba and his accomplices into the custody of agents from the organization, who Eli sent an SOS to off screen. The agents also brought a big vat of memory spray with them, as per Eli's request. They hand the bomb detonator over to the organization agents, who allow Prom to carry on that night, promising to return to dismantle the bomb the following day. After that, Eli, Wyatt, Kari, and Mary round the students back up into the gym and set off the vat of memory spray, erasing everyone's memory of the bomb. Eli then whispers something into Kari's ear, and when everyone comes to, she crowns Eli and Mary prom king and queen, because she's the special guest, and she can do that. After Eli and Mary dance, while he apologizes for treating her badly, they kiss, and romantic music continues to play. So that's it? Not quite. First, I want a quick montage that just shows everything that happened over the summer. So the montage includes Eli and Mary on their second first date, the two boys graduating, Wyatt and Kari talking over video call, Wyatt going to a sewing class with his dad, and the two boys going on missions together. The final scene is going to be a short scene on the porch of Wyatt's house. It's the end of summer and Eli slept over at Wyatt's the previous night because they both headed to university that day. After geeking out a little at each other's fight moves from prom night, they finally finish off the conversation from French class. In English this time, they discuss their university plans. Eli is going to Howard University because it's an HBCU in Washington, D.C., where Casey Undercover was set, and Wyatt's going to a community college in New Jersey that has a transfer program with Princeton for junior and senior students. Then their parents arrive to pick them up, they hug and bid each other farewell, and they get into their parents' cars and drive away. As the credits roll, then my end credits song starts to play. You've written an end credits song? Nope. Being a full-time university student and writing these pitches is time-consuming enough. I have experience writing songs though, so I'd be happy to work with any songwriter you hire, but the priority here was just to pitch the movie. Congrats then. What do you mean, congrats? I like your pitch, and I'm gonna talk to a bunch of execs at Disney Branded Television and get it greenlit. That's amazing, thank you so much! Wait, but before I accept, I need to ask. Yes, Malachi. Production will pay for your flight and accommodation. Hey there, it's Malachi. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Pitch. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for new pitches often. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know if Disney Plus is actually gonna make Protect the Princess into a real movie. I'd appreciate it if they did, because I worked really hard on it and I think it could be a cool movie, but I guess it's up to them. And it's up to you as the viewer to probably send this link to Preston, Oliver, Dara, Reneé, and A.O. Davis and see if you can hound them into making the movie, but I'm not going to put any pressure on you. Yeah, anyway. If you'd like to talk about this pitch/movie idea on social media outside of YouTube, please be sure to use the hashtag #ProtectThePrincess with the black spy, Ivorian flag, and white spy emojis at the end so I can see what you guys are saying. And I'd love to just talk to you and see what you guys think about this movie idea. And yeah, I may not have Disney Plus in my life, as in a movie on Disney Plus, but I do have Oros, who I hope will sponsor me one of these days, because I have been asking for a while.